Too dark, too dark, too dark. Oh my gosh. Don't turn around. Uh-oh. The Mamdammy clown's in town. Uh-oh. Da 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 da. Their Kommisar is in town, folks. They installed and elected him last night in New York City. Proof that history repeats itself and people don't learn. Democrats are stupid, they're fools, they're foolish, they're godless. I don't care what they say. They do not stand on truth, ever. Ever. How are you doing, old saint? Hey, Franny. Why would you elect a communist in America? Are Democrats really that dumb? Is this a rhetorical question? They put AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib out there. Yes, they're very stupid. And I would say it to all those leaders' faces. AOC has more density in her tots than she does in her brain. I was talking to the bartender. She needs to go back to that. And it's incidental, but Crapula Harris and Flake OC both married to white husbands. White. Let me say that one more time. White husbands. And they both talk crap about our race. Oh, well, have a good night's sleep, all saints. My day is just beginning. You can thank the Democrats for all of the confusion today. You can thank the Democrats for getting called into the office constantly at work now today. Everything is out of control. Now, I didn't get in trouble yesterday, but we had to foam a unit that was in a long wooden box, and we were going to just ship it out that way. But the supervisor said, go ahead and foam that. So a bunch of us took it over there. And the one guy said, there's no way we're going to be able to hold that lid down. I said, yeah, there is. I'm going to sit down on the plywood lid, and that foam ain't going to rise. So I had it on a dolly where you can take the handle, bend it, and lay it down on four wheels and pull it like a cart. And as soon as he foamed, I said, tell me when. He says, do it. Put the lid on, and I sat down on it, and we had a nice seal. I said, now I got to get the wood screws and the drill and drill it shut. While I was sitting on it, I pedaled and rode over. And one of the other guys at work laughed. He says, you having fun? I said, yeah, I'm like a big kid riding a toy. Well, what I failed to realize, I'm sitting on the skinny wooden box about yay wide and the long sticking out between my legs. And somebody else heard that and thought, oh my gosh. My supervisor says, Mike, come here for a second. We went outside. He said, did you hear what you just said? I said, what did I just say? And several minutes had passed. So something about a pony. I said, pony? I said, no. I said, so-and-so said, you like riding that? I said, yeah, I'm like a big kid riding a toy. Do you see how easy it is today for people to misconstrue what you say? Everything has a double entendre. Everything can be offensive. It's crazy. Who is the one from Minnesota that's from where Black Hawk Down? I don't know, All Saints. I'm not familiar with that. And we definitely need to take and mention a moment for the UPS flight that was ill-fated from the minute they started the engines up. Can you imagine if that had landed in a mall? I mean, it's bad enough, 12 people, but can you imagine? Or worse yet, can you imagine if it hit a school bus taking children home fully loaded? I promise you, to Whoever does the maintenance on that UPS plane, they're going to all be under the gun. You're claiming the engine fell off. They're going to be looking at all the maintenance records with a fine-tooth comb. Really, All Saints. Good morning, Boondocks. How are you? We can thank God that Louisville, Kentucky flight did not land in a heavily congested area. Fully loaded for jet fuel, was bound for Honolulu. Every day there's something. But this communist mayor, what is New York thinking? Projections say 800,000 people are going to leave. Governor of Texas, Mr. Abbott, said he will put 100% tariffs on anybody coming from New York to his state. Anybody leaving. And you know why he's doing that? Because these bungholes supported sanctuary cities. And I agree with Abbott. I like Abbott as a governor. He's a man. He has a pair of huevos. And he does what he needs to do. He was stacking shipping containers on the border. And the courts tried to block him. You notice the Democrats get the law to block everything that's against the law? That ought to tell you something about our legal system, folks. Most of the attorneys are Democrats. You want to talk about a disparity? Do a polling of every school teacher in America and find out how many are Republicans and how many are Democrats. It would shock the hell out of you. If you think you could become a dean or superintendent or principal of a school and be a conservative Republican, you'd better guess again. Discrimination has been going on by the people who fought against it, the liberals. Wait a minute. The liberals were fighting discrimination. Well, yeah, they came up. Or did they? We need to do some research because it was the liberals that kept the slaves in slavery and supported the Jim Crow laws and formed the KKK. The usual suspects that vote Democrat all the time are about the dumbest people on the planet to get behind a party that kept them in chains to begin with. And they're going to sit here and talk about Donald Trump being a racist. I've never heard Donald Trump use the N-word once, by the way. Snake pill skin for... Who's snake pill skin? You know what, Franny? But it's tough. Everything can be misconstrued in a job place. And no offense, you throw women in there that are lesbian and liberal. Wow, you better not even talk to them. Hi, Majid. Who is Snake Spilskin? Snake Pilskin. Interesting, Franny. All Saints, I would love to work. I wish my channel would actually generate something, but that's not going to happen. I don't have what it takes to make money as a YouTube artist, apparently. I'm not monetizing. They'll shut me down. They take 40% or more of anybody's donations. Why would New York City elect a communist? The usual suspects are still robbing and looting the stores down there. Does this clown think he's going to stop? You should have read the comments under his getting elected. Very entertaining. Democrats said, "Oh, I love the energy. Let's keep this going." And then somebody wrote, "The GOP suffered a crushing blow." And somebody said, "How did the GOP suffer a crushing blow? It's a blue city and a blue state. We haven't suffered a blow. You guys voted in more blue." Tell me when you conquer a red state, then you have something to talk about. And then the fighting went back and forth. Some clown on the left told people, "Oh, you can stop your crying now." I said, "Nobody's crying. We're laughing at how stupid you are. You've seen a rise in crime, a rise in taxes, everything, and now you voted in this clown? Don't turn around. Uh-oh. Der Kommissar's in town. Ruh-roh." Socialists are hypocrites. Nancy Pelosi's a hypocrite. Look at their bottom line. Look at their bank accounts. Look at their mansions. Do they live like a communist? No. Liars all. They want to control you. They want all the freedom of speech, the right to make money illegally, insider trading, you name it. Clowns are us. The Democrats, to me, have now become the supporter of communism. You want to talk about fascism and racism? The communists are all of the above. Yeah, but Boondocks, the fact that people aren't donating directly to my Cash App, where they can avoid all that, is proof nobody's going to pay for the channel. They'll pay for Mark Dice. They'll pay for Benny Johnson. They'll pay for Paul Joseph Watson so they can sit back, smoke their cigarettes, drink their coffee, and have a wonderful living. It sickens me. They'll pay Ulu, the emo boy and girl that are married, going, Ulu. They'll throw money at the toilet seat dude. I don't know if Mr. Shower Triangle Jump is getting any money, but we are in a crazy world. We are in a crazy world. Friend, you're actually smart. You're actually smart. Can't have credit. Well, this is beautiful. Open a banana and the whole top comes off like a ski hat. Nice. This bunch of bananas don't break open easy. I don't know what the problem is. Communist bananas. So what else have we got in here? This is a picture of my Norman Rockwell calendar. I love that. That's the chef with his cup of joe. Norman Rockwell had a way with capturing something. Colette, it's disgusting. Is that the homeless guy you were talking about? I think I posted his picture the other day. I finally stumbled onto him. Majid, what are you talking about, man? Do you guys realize this? Do you realize that I don't know what that is, Franny. You look at some of these channels, they look like Las Vegas. They got the sound, and all these little bejeweled symbols. It's all gimmicks. Proof that people like parades and showtime more than substance. It's like somebody buying some shiny toy that breaks after 5 minutes of play. Interesting. I didn't know that, Boondocks. Yeah, hyping. It's all artificial insemination is all it is. People getting all caught up in bling bling. I run my channel like a military truck now. No power, anything. No heater, no AC. Everybody wants rainbows all over their channel. I'm going to pass. What's with the LGBT guys running around in rainbow panties and rainbow shirts and rainbow flags? I know it's a symbol of their ridiculousness. The symbol of the rainbow was actually sent by the Almighty God to Noah, promised that he'd never flood the whole world again, and gays somehow stole the rainbow to represent their stuff. I think one of the worst inventions that men ever wore in their life was spandex. I'll never forget when obese women started wearing them. I'm like, no, 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 please don't. Camel toe. Guys started wearing it. Gross. I don't need to see a grown man with his balls framed. I mean, it's not even comfortable to wear that stuff. But hey, that's just me. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. I love the face on that dude. He's just tired. Tired from his shift. That's the way cooks used to look back in the day. You realize we're younger looking now? Look at that guy. Go back and look at the early photos of people. And look at us. We are the new old, folks. New old. Hence the crappy content. You're right, Boondocks. Majid, thank you for coming. Yeah, and toilet seat, dude. I mean, I'll watch for a minute just to go, what is the end goal of this clown? Don't tell me what to do. I already bought a new toilet seat. You want me to buy another one? I was looking at a picture of a troll's mother and father the other day that somebody else had shown me. Hard to believe when you look at a picture of parents and you look at their grown kid and what they're doing. It's like, what the hell went wrong here? The parents look like normal American parents. Lots of money. They must have spoiled the cat. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We got just wicked evil in people today. I'm going to say it once again. None of the liberals care about Christians getting beheaded in Nigeria. But they were all about the poor Palestinians. They were all about the Ukraine until Irina got knifed in the throat on a North Carolina Charleston bus. Then they were crickets. Now the clowns voted in a communist. Not one Democrat in power lives like a true socialist. Take a look at the leaders. Look at what they're modeling and make observations, please. They're liars. If you really believe in socialism, get rid of your mansions, get rid of your ridiculous bank accounts, your insider trading, and your jet rides, and start living what you believe. I get more criticism than a Democrat liberal hypocrite does because I'm honest as heck. Who's Matt Brown? Like watching a plane. Well, the other day we had a plane crash. I don't like artificial intelligence. It's bothersome. Let's say it's hurting the art industry. It's hurting the music industry. Can AI generate something about Michael Nelson that can be used in a court of law to throw me in prison? You'd better believe it. Yep, Colette. I promise you the crew that works on that plane, they'll be going over every record. They'll be going over every record, every individual that put their hands on that plane ever. You know it's coming. How do you have an engine fall off? If I have to do things to push and promote my channel, then I don't have any talent. And what is interesting is even guys that I've listened to, okay, they're rich now. Why are people still throwing money at them? Look at some of these people's bottom lines. Look at them. Casey Zander, I don't even see his stuff anymore. Casey Zander had a whole shtick saying you can't date American women, and then he started a whole new series saying how to get a date with an American woman. The hot ones. I'm like, Casey, this does not work. The guy's shaped like a wedge, wears a cowboy hat, got a high-speed boat, got 4x4s and money coming out of his butt cheeks. Of course the women want him. And the memberships that he charges for, I think they were $49 a piece. And the number of membership, I'm like, this guy's making $73,000 a month. A month. To listen to some date guru. And I read the comments under the guy's channel, and everybody's saying, if this is what it takes to get a date, forget it. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Adam and Boondocks. I appreciate you both. I did not know you were an atheist, Boondocks. You have never followed the traditional way that most of the atheists have come on me and attacking me. You've always been respectful, and I thank you for that. Boondocks, I have the same problem. There's a book called This Little Church Went to Market, and it really has. There's something wrong with me, and I told a friend of mine this. Either I'm off key, off kilter, maybe my ship doesn't sit even in the water, but when I get around people, there's things I notice in our society that disturb me. This place I work at, some people have an ability to be fake all day. You never get personal with people. They're happy to talk about the work stuff. What am I talking about? People have got that exterior, those castle walls up. As long as you focus on non-threatening stuff like, hey Mike, did you get that package boxed up with those spacers? Yeah, I did not get them boxed up. I found everything on your ticket order except I found 2 out of the 4. They were not in location. I was afraid of that. We pulled every content out of certain bins just to look for these tiny little things. And they weren't even in there. They were in another one above it. And I observed a guy at work talking to another guy who just started. And I do have to mention this. I don't hate the guy, the white guy. He's nice. He has a little bit of bossy butt syndrome. He's not my boss. He's very helpful. That I've noticed a couple of people have gotten reprimand because of him. He's a bit of a tattler. And I'm like, whoa, I don't like that. And I walked from one warehouse through his area. He was talking about something political to the black guy, and the black guy very firmly said, well, that is your opinion, and I don't agree with you. He goes, no, that's not my opinion. That's a stated fact. And right when I heard all that, I thought, Michael does not, believe it or not, Michael does not in the workplace do that. I'm like, ooh, don't back. And I heard him say the word government. I said, the government's corrupt as I'm walking through. Well, I went to my supervisor to talk to him about something on an order I could not locate. He goes, hey, I just need to tell you, and I need to tell everybody. He says, don't talk about politics. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I heard him say government. I just made some off-the-wall comment. He goes, no, you're fine. He said, I hear all that conversation back there, and I got to talk to him. He said, we can't do that. And he said, he said that, we can't talk about religion in the workplace. I know many people have faith and stuff. And what is interesting is the company has lunch. It's all voluntary. You can go up to the business, the office on campus, and they give you a lunch. Yesterday, somebody made chili and then baked potatoes, and I grabbed the baked potato. And then there's a speaker, a guy that had done ministry in Niger, not Nigeria, but Niger, another country. He's talking about the killing of Christians and about a gentleman he personally knows, and he has what's called a talking drum. It's got a thing that goes over the shoulder, and you squeeze it and bang it, and it goes, wee, wee. It's a very interesting. And I like listening to these guys because they get some interesting people. But he gave a gospel presentation, and I was talking to E-Rock about that last night. My go-to guys are Mob and E-Rock both. Solid American men. solid, hardworking, and neither one of them takes people's crap. And I haven't had friends like that, shoot, ever. And I was talking to Iraq, and Iraq and I were talking. He says, how did they get around that? You can't talk about this, but yet I said, because I guess lunch is voluntary if you want to go in there. And I'm not against that. But it is very hard for me to be like a battleship and compartmentalize my life. I have a hard time doing that. I am not a professional. Good morning, Mr. Scottson. How are you today? I'm just not that thing. I remember when I was in Duluth in 1989, I got a job at Highland Plasma. It was a division of Baxter Corporation. And I was in the back room. It was called CR, centrifuge. The plasma bottles would be placed by the phlebotomist on the counter. I'd enter the patient ID, enter the milliliters, tick, 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 put them in a box of 12, tape the top, take it in the walk-in freezer. It was like 27 below back there. When it was hot, I loved to go in there and cool down. It was quick, believe me. I thought, wow, I can enjoy Minnesota winter in the summer at work. And there was a guy, I was out on the bleed floor. They wanted me to start learning to pull needles from patients and tear down the phlebotomist machine. And, they would hook up the tubing and stuff, but I would take everything down after they were done and clipped everything. I had to do the stalker's job and put the saline solution and all the stuff under the beds so that each phlebotomist was supplied. So one guy came in and says, hey, man, I said, hey, dude. I got called in the office in 1989 by a redheaded woman named Lou, who was a devout feminist. Mr. Nelson, you cannot say dude. I said, I'm sorry. You walked in there and said, hey, dude. I said, he said, hi, I know him. Well, that is not professional. You know what? You know what's not? And I watched this. They showed the governor. They showed all the suits and ties walking down the street looking like the A-team, their suits and ties, walking to investigate the airplane crash. Good grief, dressed professionally. Do you think the dead people give a shit about whether you're wearing a suit and tie? I mean, our society's so wrapped up in how you dress. And yet it's those people that are screwing the pooch. I don't have a supervisor. Who's this Nakomi Putz? When did you start this channel? Nakomi, what do you do for a living, troll? You don't get paid for it. Hi, skitty bitty toilet brush. How come the chat is completely stopped? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick of this woke generation on the one hand, this hyper professional on the other. If a patient comes in and he's used to talking street talk, and I say, hey, dude, how you doing? I said, ma'am, I'm from California. We said, well, we don't do that. This is Minnesota. This woman was a biatch. And she asked me, can you hang a picture? Oh, that's right. Men don't know how to hang pictures. I should have said, that is so wrong. I should have said that to her. I said, that is so discriminatory. That's right, Franny. I'm waiting for Nacombe to show his manhood and stand up to his comment there because he hasn't done it yet. Maybe he's just a fly hoping to eat on some fecal matter and didn't find any here. So, what is the deal? You're paid to go to work. You got to follow the rules. But we're living in a day and age where every single thing you do and say Could land you in the office now. One gentleman told me about he confronted one of the supervisors at his job because he had said some very stupid things. And he had a boldness I wouldn't display. I keep my mouth shut with people over me. I will be polite about it simply because they're over me. Now, if they overstep their bounds in a very wrong way, I'm going to be very vocal. It's tough when you got to work in a place where you cannot be yourself. It's tough where anything you say can and will be used against you, even if it's nothing wrong. Drive-through dingbat, I like that. I love it when people call me a bum. Are they not projecting that they're living in mommy's basement, addicted to video games, and mom spoils them and lets them be a basement bat cave dweller? I think there's a lot of that. Keyboard warriors feeling brave behind a screen. I told somebody I should apply to be a, they was it the military they wanted to employ hackers. I want to learn how to be a hacker because I know somebody I'd go after right now today. He'd have nothing left of any of his accounts. It's sad that we live in a world you got enemies just for telling the truth. You go to the workplace, you might as well just be a mute. Only talk about the job. Never get personal, never talk about anything else. And the guy was talked to for talking about politics, and I noticed he had a very angry face for the rest of the day. You could tell he was very unhappy about having to be cock-blocked when he was being the yard boss. And I did have a discussion with the other guy. I said, I'm a little red. There's red lights on my dash with him. I said, I'm polite and nice, but I said, I did make a comment to the boss. I said, look, I'm just going to level with you. I don't hate the guy, but I know he's running to the office on every little thing that goes on. I said, I'm not into all that. And the boss said, well, or the supervisor said, well, he does tell me things that need to be told. And I said, I understand that. But I said, people don't want to feel like they got to be under the gun. Everything they say and do is going to be used against them either. And the sad thing is, he grew up in a Christian school. And we've talked about this. Christians come on my channel and do this, and they get on this, they got a bone in their mouth, and you're wearing women's clothes. No, I'm not. But whatever. I cut up my shirts. I do what I do. Sometimes I wear women's clothes, but sometimes I accuse when these are both male shirts that I just what do you call it? Repurposed. And sometimes Christians get really onto this thing. They're going to go after somebody. They're going to report somebody. They're going to quote scripture at you. And folks, give it a rest. Give it a rest. I mean, if you feel so convinced you're more spiritual than me, why don't you get down on your hands and knees and quietly pray for Michael Nelson and stop all that? If you're so close and connected to God, then get down on your self-righteous knees that have no scabs on them or no scars, because you don't get on your knees and pray. People in America, we're knowledge bowls. We get saved, we understand the Word of God, and we want to impress everybody how we know the Scripture. Folks, it's old hat. It's like somebody suddenly discovering disco music when it came and went. And they're telling you, man, Saturday Night Fever's great. Yeah, it was great. I never even heard it. Yeah, well, it came out in 76, 77. And there's a lot of people that know their Bible. And there's a lot of people that not only know it, but they don't wear it all over their sleeve. I'm sorry, you go into a lot of white women's houses and they got quilted pictures. They're quilted. They're ugly. I'm not into that quilted stuff in a frame. Just me. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I notice you spend any amount of time with them. No, they're not. She's wearing scripture all over everything. She wants everybody to know she's a Christian, but spend any time around her and you'll find that she's not quite mature in a lot of areas personally. And it's like, people, I'm proud that I'm saved. I haven't arrived in my walk. And some people think, well, you shouldn't talk about. Oh, so because I'm not perfect, I shouldn't talk about it. You contradict yourself. There are people that get benefit from me talking about the truth. And I'm not going to stop. And I'm not going to compartmentalize myself. I don't go to work and say, good morning, Mr. Scottson. How are you today? Good, Michael. How are you? I'm doing well. That's not who I am. And I'm not the only one. There's people, hey, dude, how are you? I'm here. One guy doesn't even say, it's so funny. Some people have to be contrary. Have you ever noticed that? How are you today? Yep. One guy just, yep. Never says hi, good, thank you. Because some people don't want to be in a box, so they do things their own unique way, even if it's bizarre. How are you today? Yep. Hey, yep. Everything's yep. I remember when I was at Denver Public Schools, there was a girl, a woman. How are you today? I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you? Oh my gosh, one of those. Mike, are you against people saying they're blessed? I feel like people wear that on their sleeve. I would feel uncomfortable going up to everybody saying, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. People get mad at me for thinking that way. And I'm not comfortable around a lot of people. Again, the workplace, we're thrown into a basket of people that we would never naturally gravitate towards in real life. Work is where you earn your money. And I've been guilty in the past of making relationships, date relationships with coworkers. But as the years go by, that's happening way less. Today, I went into this workplace saying, Michael, number one, none of these people are your friends or ever will be. Number two, you're going to have personalities in here that get under your skin. Number three, you're going to have those that want to control and boss everybody around. You've seen this. And the one guy is a little too uptight. He went to a Christian school. He's a conservative. There's a couple times when nobody was around. He asked me some. He showed me on his phone at lunch. He said, what do you think of this Bill Clinton sniffing these girls? And he got his hands all over. He had one. Did you see that? Little girl. I mean, 5, 6 years old. And right up there in the public forum, he's got his hands right here and touching her. And not one Democrat woman said, man, dude, what are you doing? Hello, Mr. E-Rock. Neeks. Hello, Andy. Facts over feelings, yes. Wow, Franny. I'd be afraid to date you. If you outplay 6 men, you might be more male than female, right? I'm teasing you. Mr. E-Rock. Neeks. My fantasy lover from Durban. The conversation is about a communist mayor elected in New York the effects of wokeness on the workplace. I'm all right. Oh, well, Franny, that I understand. I knew a woman in Denver named Debbie. She was a big girl. We would go to lunch sometimes, platonically. Debbie said she had 5 or 6 brothers, lived on a farm in Colorado, and they would throw her into the pig pen. It's like, wow, nice brothers. Throw the girl in the pig pen. I love pigs, but they're vicious, man. You don't play with piggies. I'm surprised, Andy, because you guys had Justin Trudeau, who is as woke as they get, and the new guy ain't much better. Oh, we got it entrenched down here. Mr. Erock said it's taking over South Carolina. The South is one of the last places to get on board with that. You rode on the piggies. That's funny. Mr. Erock was telling me stories. You got one Hispanic woman in there, runs her mouth, speaks in Spanish, and shit talks everybody. She got a brand new office when somebody complained about her behavior. Clearly, the minorities have the upper hand today. We're allowing the tail to wag the dog. Evolution is not only false scientifically, but it's false sociologically. Promoting buttholes to the front of the line while taking your best workers, your workforce that pays its fair share of taxes and kicking them in the balls over and over again. There's something wrong with a society that does that. And we need to rise up and we need to collectively say, we're tired of this. Stop rewarding lawless people. You Hispanic running your mouth, she should be called in her office and say, it's been brought to my attention you're speaking Spanish and walking through the production areas talking shit about people, and that needs to stop. Today, giving people favoritism. I worked with Hispanic women at Denver schools, and I will say what I need to say. They're not fun to work with. I have a rating scale of women ethnically. Forgive me, I'm not talking about Franny or some of the women on my channel. White women are the worst to get involved with because of all the games, all the crazy stuff that they've done to men. Black women are more honest with who they are. But then there's all that Democrat brainwash that most of them have suffered, which makes it impossible to date them. Not to mention their music and style choices and their misplaced priorities of $300 hairstyles, but not checking the oil on their car and letting their roof leak with a tarp over it. And this. And wait. Hispanic women are number 2 on my list as women to totally avoid. I'm not racist. Latinas are cute, but they're fiery. They will argue, they will fight, they will threaten to beat you up. And you got one woman coming into a mostly American workplace and is going to take on everybody. So much for humility. She doesn't work as hard as the boys on the floor. She's got an air-conditioned little office, and the bosses look the other way because they've all been taught racial sensitivity. In other words, Whatever happens to offend white people, well, we're just going to blow that under the rug. This is reality, folks. And I'm frankly, Scarlett, sick of it. I'll call out a Hispanic racist woman. We see them here. Mexicans will stare at me in Home Depot and sit there and give me that look and talking Spanish to each other. I'm like, F you, boys. This is my country. I would never walk in your country and do what you're doing. I would never do that. If I was to visit Mexico, I'll be respectful and conduct myself appropriately. And you let these buttholes come into this country from other countries that don't respect us, laugh at us, mock us. Get out! You don't belong here. It's funny. You guys want to wave your little Mexican flag. Well, why'd you leave there, dumbass? Why'd you leave there if it was so great? You want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo? This is America. Let's have 330 million Americans park their butt in their pickups in the middle of Mexico City and pull out the flags and start singing Yankee Doodle Dandy and see how Mexico goes for that. The hypocrisy of these leftist groups is so self-evident. They're morons, they're idiots, and they're not intellectual while they're displaying their foolishness for all to see. You left Mexico, but you want to walk down the streets of LA flying your little flagista. You can take that flagpole and put it right up your rumpus. I'm sick of it. Did you see the Mexican ship that came to visit New York City? That didn't make the captain look real good. Went under the bridge and hit the mast and tore that thing all up. And everybody was welcoming them because, oh boy, we'll just stop right there. Neeks, I would have no doubt about you. Of course, like anything else, I'd have to see you face to face. But you seem like a straight arrow. Franny seems like a straight arrow. There's a few of them in here. I hate it when women lie to me. You lie once, I'm done. I entertain the idea, Neeks. Problem is I can't, well, there's things I'll tell you on Discord I can't say here. But I wish I could hire it in another country. I think it'd be fun to experience that. But what are people thinking by hiring a communist to run New York City? New York City was never built on socialism. But the New York Times, shoot, might as well be a communist manifesto. One of the worst newspapers in the entire country. Right up there with the LA Times and the Washington Post. Garbage. They're not even fit for wiping your butt. It's what I call burn barrel stuff. And it's like when Fidel Castro iron-fisted Cuba. Havana, back in the day, had tourism. Lots of tourism until he came to power. Communists decimate a system. Havana went to hell in a handbasket after he got in charge. Did you notice Biden didn't want any Cuban refugees coming to the U.S.? Why not? Because he wouldn't vote for his party, that's why. But he wanted all the Haitians to come over. You know, the ones down there at Port-au-Prince? They were firing at aircraft. He welcomed them people. You notice the Democrats are so disgusting. They'll pimp so lowly for votes. They'll bring over drug lords, terrorists, Muslims, all this country so they can get the vote. I find it interesting that true Islam does not believe in women's rights. And how did the Democrat Party and it become aligned? Why would Ilhan Omar and this woman that's running in Georgia for governor, Muslim women, they cannot run for office in their countries? What the hell is going on? Satan? Everything in hell is going on the streets, in the Democrat Party. They are operatives of Satan. But these people get mad. Listen to this guy. He has no college education. Listen to the stuff coming out. What I say is the truth. I don't care how much college a Democrat has. Just the fact you vote Democrat proves you are not educated. You're a moron. You think because you regurgitated a textbook for the test that you're smarter than anybody. You are a clown. You vote like a clown. You act like a clown. You drive like a clown. And you make goo-gobs of money and promote socialism. What's wrong with this picture? Oh, that's right. You're mentally ill. Rush Limbaugh accurately diagnosed you clowns. The lion's share of people trolling my channel are liberal, atheist Democrats. Not all. You got some Christians too. You've got some conservatives. I don't fit into a group because I'm not a group. I'm an individual. Like a fingerprint, there's no two alike. We have a fingerprint reader or face reader for the time clock. It's gotten so bad, people clocking in for others. They let people use an app on their phone and they stopped it. They found that they were clocking in 30 minutes away from work. Companies have to set the GPS fence to where you can clock in. When I worked at transportation, I was a captain for the summer for a program that they ran. 4 or 5 drivers, one was a sub, one didn't show up. And I was supposed to report to her boss because they were hired by a staffing agency. Said she did not come in today. And she goes, Mike, she clocked in. I said, no, ma'am. I said, so-and-so drove her route. I even asked her, did she show up? She said, no, I drove her route. I said, okay. She was clocking in at a school because if she got on the county Wi-Fi for the schools, she'd go the distance from her home to her closest school, neighborhood school, clock in, go back to bed. Have these people any freaking shame? That's taxpayer money you're stealing, the school system. No, they don't. If they were to investigate Nancy Pelosi and these Democrats that are billionaires, Prince Andrew was dethroned. That sounds like a big deal, right? It's a dog and pony show. They said he has to go to his cottage. Yeah, did you know they call mansions cottages over there? Sitting on a fortune of money. He needs to be behind bars. You think it'll happen? You think any of these Democrats? No, they get away. They are the biggest mafia in the world. And I'm not just talking out of my butt cheeks. That's a fact. These people are corrupt as all get out, and they've got protection. They've got immunity. The attorneys, the bar associations, all on their side. The public education, the media is all on their side. That's a pretty big force to contend with. That is a huge force to contend with. Yep, because this is what happens in America. It goes back and forth and back and forth. We got 4 to 8 years of complete chaos and damage. We get 4 years of a Republican trying to undo the damage. It's crazy, Trump. It's crazy. Hi, POTUS. I'm like, who's POTUS? Oh, Trump. The idiocracy, the lunacy of Democrats and their hatred for Trump is almost comical. Democrats have OCD on Trump. I've said it and I'll say it again. When you have elections so damn close, you think because we won, we scored a victory. Dude, there's almost that many more people that believe against you. Proof that entertainment and Hollywood and the public education system have won half the hearts of the voters over to wrong thinking. This is serious stuff. A victory would be if we won by 75%. With all of the education, with all of the exposure, you still got a core group of Democrats that are stupid. It's almost as if, though, they want to destroy things. Do you think Republicans came up with Jerry Springer? Was it Republicans that came up with The View? So let your thoughts go out a little further. These people want to see people suffer. I think Nancy Pelosi and them would be at a Coliseum watching Republicans get torn apart by lions. I think they would get off on that. You think that people don't think that way? Look at all the Democrats cheering when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They thought that was funny. What was that? That TMZ crap? And they're all, woo! And then they had to do damage control. I'm going to be honest with you. If a meteorite struck the House with all the Democrats in session, I won't lose a wink of sleep. I don't like all this violence, but the Democrats are the ones fostering it. It's Democrats that are killing people. It's Democrats that are a danger to Christians and conservatives, not the other way around. No conservative's gone out and taken a gun. There was no attempt on Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama's life. But then you had that redhead twat holding a bloody effigy of Trump's head. These are the ones that scream about gun control, but they're the ones that are the most violent. So I have a solution. No Democrat in America shall own a firearm. Problem solved. Boom. Crime goes straight down. $75-year lease. Oh, he doesn't own it, Colette? I know, Mystery Rock. It just blows me away, too. And people get mad. Mike, that's not professional to call Democrats stupid. What is the definition of professional? Can somebody please put a working definition from a dictionary or from AI, whatever, in the room, please? Do it. Do it for me, please. I want to see what the actual definition of professional. Did you know? I've read the Bible, and I don't believe I've ever seen the word professional in the Bible. Let that soak in. Does God ever tell us to be professional? Not once. Tells us to be tenderhearted. Work with your own hands so that you will have enough not only to provide for your own needs, but to help others. Speak not lies against another. Do not bear false witness. When you see your neighbor's ox wander off, bring it back to your neighbor, even if you can't stand him. Does not say be professional. Professional is a way of acting, and it is caught well with the American people. You go into a business and they can talk to you in rude tone, but they're being professional. Hi, can I help you? Well, she said the right words. Go and tell the manager you were talked to with tone, and the manager happens to be a female. I don't understand what you're talking about, because you're a woman. That's why you endorse this. Can I say something, Franny and the ladies? Please don't get offended at me. This isn't targeted at you or Neeks or anybody. We got one woman in the warehouse. I don't speak to her. Wears the same hoodie every day. She looks grumpy. She never says hi. Have you noticed in our society, women can be nasty, women can be ugly, women don't have to be polite. There's no expectations laid on them. But if we were to be and do what she does, we'll get in trouble. Am I wrong? Can anybody confirm that women get more of a pass in just being rude in public? They don't have to say thank you when you hold the door open for them. They don't have to wave when you let them into traffic. You notice that? I will see guys. I'll see a guy trying to get in from a corner store. Traffic's backed up. I'll say, come on. He's like, he's leaning all the way out the window to thank me. Woman goes in, doesn't even look. Oh, I owed that to you, huh? There is a double standard in the society, and you know who brought all that about? Well, we all, Republican and Democrat, are guilty. We treated women as though they were queens and princesses. It is Neeks. But I believe even if Neeks didn't know me and I'm in Durban and I held the door open for her, I believe she would say thank you. Or in the workplace, women who I know do not like me, but in front of other management, hello, Mr. Nelson, how are you today? I've worked with you every day and you were nasty to me when you're off camera. Now you're going to play that game? That's not Christ-like, is it? You know, the Bible tells fathers do not provoke your children to wrath. Can I say something? That's not just a principle of dads. I think that's all of us. No one should provoke anybody to wrath. And our society's doing it. Our society's doing it. You got to go to work. You, as a man, as a white guy, got to watch what you say, especially when you're around ethnicity. Talk to Mr. E-Rock about it. Talk to me. I've seen races being handled with kid gloves. The rest of us, not so. It's almost like revenge is being meted out to us for whatever was done 150 years ago. Judgment comes from more. What are you saying, Gavin? I don't understand your sentence. Yeah. I told you guys I drove the school bus in Duluth. Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, I'd do charters. The buses had a special license plate that allowed you to go from school purposes to adult purposes. But we had a metal charter sign we'd slap over the word school, and it'd say charter bus. It's a fine line, but they allowed it up there. I picked up Maurice's. That's a fashion store for women. It's very popular in the Midwest. I haven't seen any down here or out west ever. They had a Maurice's convention, and the women that are in the big upper echelons of, they had the Holiday Inn, and they hired one bus to bring them to the convention center. Then after that, you shuttle them over to Park Inn so they get rip roaring drunk. And I would wear my nice black and green checked sweater, my black jeans, and none of them spoke. They were all fairly attractive white women. They were very uppity. And picked them up at the convention center, drove them over to the Park Inn, picked them up late at night, and I had to wait for one of the group to tell me when I was authorized to leave, because after they had drinks, boy, you saw a total transformation. One woman tripped up the stairs and her head fell face down between the steering wheel and my chest in my lap, and I immediately put my hands up. I'm not being rude, but I ain't gonna, oh, you okay? Nope. Don't you dare touch that woman. She picks herself up. She goes, looks at me, her hair spilling in her face looking pissed face. She goes, God, I'm drunk. I almost want to say, no shit. Can you get your head out of my lap, please? And I heard their discussions driving back to the downtown Holiday Inn. These women think they're all that. They've had a couple beers and they're just gone. 3 sheets to the wind. I don't care what people say about Michael. I've worked with people. And people are game players, and they're actresses and actors. By day, they're uppity. They wear the right clothes. They were all dressed professional. You know, they say liquor's a truth teller. What comes rolling out of your lips after a few is what is going on in here. What is that? Either that's a train with a weird horn or it's the jet engine about to fail. That's weird. I was thinking about that UPS crash. I'm very near the airport. I'm like, oh gosh. They typically don't fly over the house here. They got a north-south trajectory, and then they get up high, and then they do the big circle to go wherever they're going. Though the Blue Angels were doing sorties right over my yard this past summer. I mean, I'd be outside, and before you hear the sound, the shadow would go right over the yard. I'd be out here, and then you hear the, I'm like, dang, I mean, it's scary. I mean, they were low, baby. Very cool to see that. That's weird. I'm hearing sounds out there, and I don't know what it is. It's not the train. What time is it? It's more than time for the flights to start up. Delta Airlines has most of their Delta flights. They're the ones that service Augusta most. We got a kid in here. Blue Angels are awesome. I've seen them in Seattle. That's a trip. You're walking through downtown Seattle with all the skyscrapers, and you see the shadow go across the buildings and then the noise, and it's just like, whoa. It comes right down over Puget Sound, like they're going to go into the drink and pull up. You better know what you're doing in those things, man. One slip and it's over. Well, have you ever, formation? The wingtips are so close. I'm like, woo, one person's out of line and it's going to be an ugly day. I said a kid's in the house, and the one I'm referring to, I didn't even say it, just outed himself. Doggy, why are you saying 67? That's not the doggy. That's another doggy, because doggy comes in there and make naughty. Shoot. They don't pay me enough to act. They don't. So that being said, does the Bible tell us we're supposed to act? No, it does not. Hi, doggy. Everyone is happy again. I like the ocean and the docks and the ships. I really wish I could live in a port town. I did in Duluth. It's not quite the same as an ocean port. Neeks, give me a job in Durban. I'll buy me a derby and put it on. A derby in Durban. I know I couldn't get a job there. There's no way. I'm just a blue-collar worker, and they don't need more of those over there. Feeling like a desert in December. I have never assimilated entirely well. Hello, Blue Dust. Hello, Brenda. Welcome all, far and near, near and far, mermaids from the sea, to people from Tripoli. What's the name of that dang city? Istanbul. There's even an old classic song about Istanbul. Hey, Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is my favorite rice, by the way. That and Mahatma. Now I hear sirens. Maybe that's what it was. Somebody started a fight at Waffle House, and now they started a high-speed chase or something, probably. Do you know the Waffle House that makes YouTube videos for fights is literally not far from me? I've gone in there in the day, and it seems so calm. The black ladies are so nice, but at night, it becomes another world in there. Jeez. Constantinople. The little attic mouse, that's a cute name. I like that. But I'm not a professional. Nobody is. It's a way of acting. Watching all those suits and ties walk through a tore up neighborhood after UPS. It's just like, this is so dumb. It's almost insulting. I'm not a fan of dressing up, as you can tell. I'm going to say it again. Wearing professional clothes has not helped the state of this nation. Ever. They're the ones screwing with our laws, screwing with our money, screwing with our income, allowing babies to be killed, saying animals are more important than people, screaming and yelling about guns when people can't even drive a car. More people are killed, maimed, destroyed, comatose by bad, lawless, deliberately willful, bad drivers than are by damn weapons. Nobody wants to talk about that. This country is upside down and ass backwards, and it has been for decades. It don't matter if we got Trump in here. Look at what happened in New York. The clowns keep voting in clowns, and it will always be nipping at the heels. We'll never get ahead in this country. We're done. We're finished. We're washed up, beached whale. My only hope for this universe is the return of Jesus Christ. That is it. I will continue to vote my conscience, but it is not impacting this country in a long haul form of good. We will go back to Democrat again, and when they get in office, they're going to raise hell. They're going to make sure that we don't have a voice. You get enough of these communists and clowns in office, they can shred and dismantle the Constitution. This is something the American people and the founding fathers never even thought of. They put in checks and balances. But if Democrats gain control in the House and the Senate and the presidency and the Supreme Court, they can dismantle it with no opposition. Not enough. Yes, they can. And that is their intent. They don't care about the Christians in Nigeria. They're not protesting in the streets. They don't care. They stand for everything that Satan stands for. And they stand against the Almighty. Communism is godless. That mayor that won is also a rabid, racist fool. And that's what New York wants. Proof that New York City is no longer run by intelligent people. It is not. The voters are stupid. New York has always been liberal. But this is just craziness. This country was not built on communism. Communism has proven in Cuba and China and Russia it doesn't work. And we keep going back to this again and again and again and again. Communism is foolish. It is godless. And it's about controlling people. Karl Marx said religion is the opiate of the people. So is atheism. So is communism. So is the Democrat Party. Look at how angry people got when they thought their EBT and SNAP was going to disappear. And the Buffalo Bills just threw $900,000, the owner of it, towards SNAP. What a waste. What a waste. You provide another meal for how many people, and then what? Get a job, people. Get a job. And I'm talking about the people abusing it. I don't want to hear all these bleeding heart liberals come on my channel, but Mike, there's people. I don't care. There's more corruption than there is good. Get rid of it. People need to come back to God. The church is supposed to be the place where women with children, whatever, can get help. But again, why should we reward society that opens their legs? Why? Why should we? You wanted to fool around with a guy. He left you high and dry. And now you want me to pay for you and your kid. And I'm supposed to do that. Why? Excuse me, you're not my wife. That's not my child, and I'm not responsible for it. Get a job. Put it in daycare like all the other women do. Buck up, pony up, cowgirl up, girl. I don't owe you nothing. Nothing. No, Blue Dust. I live in Richmond County. My roommate had other black teachers say, did you get SNAP? She goes, no. Oh, no, you can get it. It's for everybody. When we had Hurricane FEMA come through, they said everybody was entitled to $750. Tina pulled it up on her phone. I said, it's asking for bank account information and everything. I said, nah, I'm good. She goes, I'm not doing it either. I said, no, they could tax us on that. I don't need it. We're good. I have insurance on the house. They covered my roof and fence and tree fall damage and all that. And no. I said, that's a benefit for people who truly need it. And some lost way more than $750. Meanwhile, that same FEMA did nothing. Now there's some problems with North Carolina, and I want to say something because a lot of people had a lot of wrong views about that. What happened in North Carolina was different than what happened in Augusta. Augusta, we got winds and the rain. They got 31 inches of rain in North Carolina. We got up 12. Augusta is a certain elevation. We have flooding in low-lying areas, but nothing They're in the mountains. These are idyllic little communities that have never seen problems like that, never seen a hurricane like that, or a hurricane that even hit there. That storm left us and dumped even more rain. You are not protected on your homeowners from flooding. The only flooding that's covered in your homeowners is if a pipe bursts in the house, not outside. You want flood insurance, you have to buy it through FEMA, and it is an arm and a leg. All those people that live that nice little life, and I'm sorry to say this, I don't know everybody up there, but I've been to small towns. I've been across this country far and wide. Small towns are cute, but they tend to be cliquey. They tend to be hostile to outsiders. They suck up the tourist dollars. People got their little art shops and their little cafes, and I respect all that. But they got to live a pretty nice, privileged life. Now disaster hits. They were whining the loudest. You built in an area, in a ravine. You didn't have flooding, now you did. Why are we all supposed to feel sorry for you? Why? Is FEMA's job to come in and build you houses? And they blamed Biden. Your homeowner's policy, man. FEMA did kick in. They brought the trucks down here to remove all the trees. Our dump couldn't handle it. Our city couldn't handle that. And FEMA did a damn good job down here. Tina and I denied the $750, and I'm glad. I said, as a taxpayer, that needs to be the people who are hurting. Neither one of us are hurting. We dodged a bullet with the way that tree fell. We dodged a bullet when the spring before that I had 2 trees removed. One would have been on the house and crushed it for good. I wouldn't be here right now. It would have been finished over. People abuse the programs. And then you got people that earn money, bought those nice houses up in North Carolina, and they're all whining and fussing. That's on you. You look at your homeowner's policy, it does not cover flooding. And they kept arguing, but it was a hurricane. Rain flooded the rivers, and you're not covered under that. Doesn't matter what brought it. Doesn't matter if a dam bursted up above. Flooding is not covered. And I feel bad, but you guys got a little taste of humility too. And people hate my stance on that. You think anybody would have cared? If I didn't have insurance on my house, you think anybody would have felt sorry for me? There's not a person out there that would have felt sorry for me. Not one. Blue Dust, you're a Democrat. And I've seen things that you said in here, and I'm not the only one who's had this discussion. I'm not bitter. I'm stating a fact. And you are always coming here dogging on me. And others have noticed that and asked this question. Why do you even come if you disagree with everything? You want to flirt with me and you want to be called out, I'll call you out. You get on my Discord. You were flirting one night. You got on Discord and you say, I'm not married and I don't want to be married. And I'm older than you. You don't ask my age. And that was the last conversation we ever had. And you never read the message when I said, stop leaving certain comments under my shorts saying YouTube's going to pull your channel. Tell it to me. You didn't even read it. So you want to call it out? I'll call it out. And if I'm bitter, it doesn't deny the fact of what I'm saying. And I'm sorry, Blue Dust. I don't hate you, but I've wondered, why are you here? You flirt and you tease, and then you're kind of rude to me in the Discord, and I'm like, I'm done. Done. I don't like that. And I talked about that one day on my channel. Apparently you weren't there for that rant. I'm bitter because I disagree with you. I am bitter about one thing. I'm sick and tired of a lot of the bullshit that goes on in this country. I am bitter about that. I'm sick of it because they've got more rights than I do. I lost my job because I told the truth about what happened in Cleveland or Cincinnati. I'm a little upset about that. Lost my health benefits, everything. And I worked my ass off over there. I'm tired of the left. I'm sick of it. And I don't believe in the left. And I don't believe in the Democrat Party. They're fucking this nation up the butt. And I'm not the only one who's tired of that. There's people listening to me that agree. I'm not being rude about North Carolina. Most of them are red staters. But again, you have to look at your insurance policy. I feel bad what happened to them. They lost everything. But folks, they made a choice to live in a place, and just because it never happened, did we not learn from the Titanic? You move to a town with this cute little creek flowing behind your businesses and homes. You've got to know that that could become a nightmare one day. Live accordingly. Put enough money in the bank to cover yourself if that happens. Something. But America should not have to pay you. You had a home. What do they feel about all the people that can't afford a home paying $1,200, $1,500, $2,500 a month for rent? I don't want to hear it. Am I bitter? I don't know. I guess I need to ask God that one. I get tired of this wrong thinking. And Blue Dust has left the room because she doesn't want to hear me. When I speak the truth, she's out. When I called her out, she's out. Just like some of the women I know, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. And I've liked her, and I've endured her, and I've never blocked her. Rent is too much, Tammy. It's not right. And the Democrats don't care. You get the favored little people on EBT and welfare and Section 8. But then the rest of us that earn too much, we get a rent hike that is above and ridiculous. I say we because I paid rent once. Actually, not once, but most of my life. And it's not right. The Democrats don't care about the working man. Did we get Obamacare? Those of us that make under $50,000 a year, go buy a health insurance policy that if your employer doesn't, go look at the cost of that. There goes half your income monthly. Blue Shield, Blue Cross is corrupt as hell. Anthem, United, all of them, they're all corrupt. When the employers used to give you health benefit package, that was huge. Now they provide something, but there's no discounts. And Obamacare screwed that up. Nero, and the problem is, I believe in WIC. That was for pregnant women to give them, breaks on a whole, good foods for them and the child. I believe in Habitat for Humanity. Here's where the government screws up. You got people on EBT, and you got people on Section 8 housing and stuff. We all know that the cop cars show up at the housing projects a lot. If a man will not work, he will not eat. These women, these men that are able-bodied need to go up and be expected by the city they live in to report at 8 o'clock, 8 to 5 every day. Guys, you get on a shovel with the pothole crew. You pick up trash. You'll learn how to run a paint striper. You'll do civic duties for the job Monday through Friday. You don't show up for work. You don't do your job. You lose the benefit. Right there, now. See, if I say something that offends somebody in my house, I lose my job. Everything ends. We have a system that is unfair and it is biased and it is in favor of Democrats. It is against Christians. It is against white males. It is against males in general. And it is against conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters, whatever. And I'm going to talk about it because I am a citizen and I do pay my more than fair share of taxes. For Schumer to want to give it to illegals, what is his bonehead thinking? He's not. He wants votes. Why do the Democrats want to be in power? Because they're getting rich. They're draining the coffers of the American money. They've dipped their hands into Social Security. And then they try to tell us the Republicans want to take away Social Security. No, the Democrats want to drain it all because they're bandits, bandidos. That's right, Franny. I will say something. Franny sounds like a tough gal. A no-nonsense, hardworking, tough gal. I respect that. She's done what she has to do to survive. She doesn't agree with me on everything, but she's got her big girl pants on and still comes in. Thank you for that, Franny. That's, I don't write off somebody just because they disagree with me on something. And I came after Blue Dust because she's been sniping in here constantly. Well, make me unbitter, Blue Dust. Make me unbitter. I don't see you trying. It's ridiculous. And I'm done. I'm going to be nice to women just because they're women when they're saying stuff like that. It's not you want to do that. And I have a right to ask a woman her age. If she doesn't want to answer, she can say, I'm not comfortable answering. Okay. I was taught in school, not that school's always right. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. I grew up out west, Blue Dust. I know you're probably listening. Out west, I could ask a woman her age. I could ask a woman her age in Asia. There's no rule anywhere that says you can't. Those are local, cultural, club rules, whatever. All one has to do is say, I'd rather not say. Okay, I'm not going to push then. You don't ask a woman. I ask a woman whatever I damn well want. And I ask a man and I ask God. And you know what? Who are you to censor me? You don't have to answer it, but I don't have to tailor my question based on your list of commandments, whatever they are. It's funny, women will ask us men our age all the time, but we're not supposed to ask them. I thought you wanted equality, Democrats, huh? Ooh, are we onto something, folks? I think so. I think I'm pretty open-minded. I'm a Christian, and I'm honest about my struggles. I'm honest about things I like that are not pleasing to God. There's things I'm very, very dogmatic on, and there's other things I'm like, I don't hate you, Blue Dust, if you're listening, but I'm just wondering why you're here. If you're against, you got onto Iraq one night because he mentioned Schumer. What good things is there to say about that clown? That's a trigger for you. Schumer is an idiot. He's the one that's keeping the shutdown going. He is the one. Let's lay it at the feet where it belongs. Schumer the clown. He needs the big old red bowling shoes. They'd fit him well. See, that's wrong, Tammy. You shouldn't have to work all these extra jobs. That's the other problem. American jobs today are paying substandard wages most of the time. You should not have to have a college degree to get good money. Just because somebody, has a college degree doesn't mean they have the muscle or the wherewithal to do something. We said it all the time. How many of you had a supervisor that just came out of college? Iraq has that. A production supervisor never touched machinery or ran any of that in his life. How come you guys don't have half of this done? Because you don't know what you're doing. Well, it should have been done. No, it shouldn't. We had to make engineering specifications to meet the contract conditions. You know how much time that takes? Well, you can't talk to me that way because I'm bigger than you. The problem is, Chief, I'm the one that if you lose me, your shit ain't going to get done. Mr. White Collar went to college. Brown knows somebody's butt to get this position. We. As a Christian, I'm not supposed to have that, but I'm guilty. I'm human. I'm human. Niece, you have always been an awesome person. You were mentioned the other day by several of us as being one that's always been a well-adjusted female. And Franny, I respect you too. Just reading your comments, you did not have a life of privilege and ease. And I tend to respect women like you both more than these others. People that think that the government owes them everything. JFK said the most infamous quote that this young generation of Democrats does not play on the news. What did John F. Kennedy say, folks? Post it in the room. Somebody, anybody. Let's see if you're paying attention. John F. Kennedy said a very awesome quote. I'll give it in a minute. Let's see if anybody remembers it. I'll just give you one word. Ask. Take it from there. What did he say? What did he say? Ask, hint, hint, for a Democrat, he said this. I think if John F. Kennedy were alive today, he'd be ashamed. He'd be ashamed. Boom. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And what is today's generation doing? They want the workplace. They want us. They want everybody to cater and coddle them and give them a cry room and a teddy bear and a dog. Are you serious? Blue Dust, am I bitter or am I passionate? You tell me. I'm passionate, and that's why a lot of women don't want to get around me. They want a man. I sat in a business yesterday, and I watched and observed the women that work in the office. I could not be around them 24/7. Even the way they eat drives me nuts. Everything is acting. I'm like, man, I cannot be like this. I can't be around this kind of stuff. Acting. No passion. Doing what everybody expects. When you have working parts, did you know working parts cause friction? That's why I have trouble. The volume and my output and my drive is second to no one. But that disturbs people. It disturbs men that want to be lazy. It disturbs my coworker when he says, you need to pace yourself. What do you mean? This is my pace. Yeah, but if you get all this done, they'll expect you to do more. I said, good. This place needs the aisles cleaned up. I'm sick and tired of climbing up the face of these things. Let's get this shit out of the way so we can get the scissors lifts down here. Shit, I fell off one the other day and gashed my damn arm. The guy says, you need to fill. I said, I'm not filling out an accident report. I'm good. I'm not suing anybody. Stuff happens. I'm a big boy. Now my arm falls off, then we'll fill it out. Well, you'll have to do it, but I'll tell you what, when you're different, you're going to get a lot of shit for it. I know. I'm a living example of that. I'm not like anybody. I don't fit in anywhere. But God didn't make me to do that. Look at the prophets in the Bible. I'm not a prophet. I'm not claiming that. John the Baptist, he wasn't in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He was out there in the desert eating bugs and wild honey and dressed in camel's hair. Even by Israeli standards, they're like, okay, he's different. You notice the scribes and the Pharisees? They were the professionals. They were the know-it-alls. They studied the Torah. They wrote down everything. They wrote all the rules and the laws and then added their own. The professionals. They patronized Jesus. Who's this clown wearing a robe and sandals, allowing his disciples to pick heads of grain and eat with unwashed hands? That's not professional. Tell me I'm not speaking truth. The professionals would crucify Jesus Christ in America today. The head of every Fortune 500 company, every CEO would crucify Jesus because he's not a professional. And me, I've gotten crucified by women because I'm not a professional. I don't want to be one. I want to be me. I want to feel the sea and my sea breeze in my hair. I want to be Michael. Oh my gosh. If you're comfortable, you're dead. That's right, Joe. Speak it loud. Why does everybody got to be like everybody else? I wish that I could be like the cool kids, because all of the cool kids, they seem to fit into some group of morons' expectations. That's why the angels didn't show up to the professionals. They showed up to the shepherds, the lowliest of the lowliest profession, sheep herders. Ha! Nazareth? Can anything good come out of Nazareth? We romanticize stuff. We love singing O Little Town of Bethlehem. Do you know what that town was like 2,000 years ago? It was bad. You heard sheep bleating, dusty roads, depressed people. Under Roman domination. Yeah. I love it when I vent my spleen. It is so therapeutic. I had a woman judge the hell out of me. You're screaming in your videos. I know, isn't it fun? You like listening to a teacher? I miss the old blackboards. Love the teacher, the sound of the chalk. But who wants to listen to a teacher that sounds like wah, wah? You know why you're here? Because this is entertaining and I'm not acting. I don't need to be an actor. Yesterday, I made my black coworker laugh his butt off. He doubled over, almost fell on the floor. You know, we're so serious about our work, and sometimes I just crack the ice like an icebreaker, and the ice goes, and it opens up a fresh lead of water. I said, if you really want to bother somebody, I said, play Axel Frog at high volume in the middle of the night. Bang, 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 ding, ding. What's going on? He lost it. I said, I got him. Even Michael can cut across cultural walls and send a torpedo. He laughed. Yes! How many people try to do that? Well, Mike, you're around another culture. You need to be careful. Ding. Yeah. Why is it I've got to change, but nobody else does? Ha! Why? Why is that? Because, Michael, the corporation has come together to determine that your services are no longer needed. You don't properly represent the company. Really? Sales have gone up. Profits have gone up. What's the problem? Well, Mr. Nelson, ba-ding. You know what? The professionals crucified Jesus Christ. Always remember that. The scribes and the Pharisees, the keepers of the law, the keepers of the Torah, the ones that ran the temple procedures. Yep, the professionals. And Jesus told them they were hypocrites and said, when you go over land and sea and win a single convert, you make them twice as much a son of hell as yourself. He looked him right in the eye and said, if you are of your father, the devil. Welcome, corporate America. You are of your father, the devil. Oh, yeah, there's some CEOs that are Christians, saved by the skin of their teeth, being rabid materialists and controlling people, and sometimes still not being a great witness because they love their money too. Corporate America is not a place for believers. It really is not. And I've come to the conclusion, if you want to be rich, you have to throw your scruples, your ethics in the toilet. I've noticed something. You're not going to get hard, or you're not going to get hard without Viagra. Okay, there we go. You're not going to get rich by working hard. You're not going to become wealthy like these fat cats. I have become convinced, unless you get a stroke of providence or something like Zuckerberg with Facebook or whatever, I honestly said, how in the hell, people try to play the lottery and play slots, hoping to win it that way. But God rewards hard work. He can make your little go a long way. God promised to meet our needs, not our greeds. Oh, that's a Norman Rockwell calendar on my closet door. It's a painting of a chef who's tired after his shift, drinking his cup of Java. I think it's classic old American art. It's a very cool picture. His face is he's tired, man. I think it's awesome. That picture represents how I feel about the Democrats. I'm sick of them. I'm tired of them. And then they vote in a clown in New York City. A clown. A communist freaking stupid clown. Let's see if he solves the rolling crime waves of blacks that just bust the doors and go in and unload everything from the shelves. Let's see if he causes the crime to go down, the taxes to go down, and makes New York a greater place to live. The city. Let's see. Let's see how he does. And then if he wins that, then he'll end up becoming the governor. Yeah, isn't that fun? Stupid. Stupid people voting in stupid people. What does the Bible say about the natural man? They're foolish. They do not seek God. They think that they're wise. Do you know what God says about the wisdom of man? It says the wisdom of man is foolishness to God. It says even the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom. The foolishness of God is wiser than Bill Gates, George Soros, Crabble Harris, all the Democrats, and all their so-called McEducation combined. Is anybody enjoying this stream? I'm sorry, I need validation. I'm insecure. Is anybody enjoying the stream? Am I off? Am I hitting it on all 8 cylinders? Where are we at? Where are we at, folks? And thank you, Joe. Thank you, Vape. Donita, how are you? And I love my fans. I do. And I'm sorry for being harsh with one earlier, but she had it coming. And we're going to employ that. We're going to be real. We're going to keep it real. We speak truth to the trolls. I'll let them have it. And when we got people that are sitting in here going to run their mouth and say horrible things, I'm going to confront it too. Thank you, PB. I appreciate that. Thank you, Donita. Neeks is laughing. She's probably choking on her coffee and snorting it out her nose at work. Got it all over her keyboard. Oh, crap. I got to clean my keyboard of all my Java. If you heard Neek's accent, it is beautiful. What a pair we would be on live. Her with that thick accent and me, that would be a hoot. We could have some fun with that. No sleep. Donita, I'm sorry. That sucks. Lord, we pray for Donita that you'd help her to get through her shift today and being tired. I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. May your mercies be new to her today. Give her the strength to get through her day and give her a nice, good night's rest tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You know, it's funny. Some people spend time going to therapy and this and that when all you need is a good night's sleep. I'm sorry, we're like babies. We need a nap. We don't get enough sleep. We're just like a baby. Everything bothers us. We're overly sensitive. We're silly, ridiculous. Neeks, I just kind of figured it. You liked my black coffee. My little silly video. Pouring a whole pot in there and then dumping it in my mouth. I like to have fun. People are too serious at work, at church. You know, I'm sorry, they act at church. People that are in the corporate world come to church and they're corporate in church. Who wants a corporate relationship with Jesus? How you doing, Jesus? I'm doing well. How are you today? I would say stocks are up. Yeah, they're doing really good. Maybe one time we'll go out and do some golf together. That'd be great, Christ. That'd be awesome. I'm glad Jesus isn't like that. I'm really glad he doesn't wear an Izod shirt. Can you imagine when he came on the Sea of Galilee, walking on the shore? Come, I will make you fishers of men. You notice who Jesus chose? Fishermen, foot and mouth Peter, people just like you and me. And they turned the world upside down. Not CEOs. Not one of them was a CEO. One was a damn tax collector. That'd be like inviting an IRS agent to your house for dinner and saying, yeah, I had a great dinner with an IRS agent. You what? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, we had a great discussion. He told me I'm guilty of tax evasion, and after dinner, he's going to have the cops arrest me. You know, Jesus chose the ones that people didn't like. Jewish people had no problem eating fish, but they were friends with the fishermen. Just like I said about the Titanic. We know about the millionaires. We know about Molly Brown. We know about Captain Smith. But do we know the name of one damn worker that built the ship? That's the problem. Society exalts and extols all the big people while ignoring all the other ones. What do we know the name of anybody who built the pyramids for Ramesses? For pharaohs? Nope. People talk about the pyramids, got to go see the pyramids. Oh, King Tut's tomb is in there. Who built the damn things? Does anybody care? Hi, Sam. No, they don't. They don't. That's why when you go to church on Sunday morning and you're made to feel beat down once again. I've heard pastors say, you need to be involved in the ministry in this church. No, I don't. You're dead. You're professional. We sing the same songs every Sunday, and I like pastor's message, but we got people who can't even say it to each other. I don't need to do a damn thing in here. Keep my mouth shut and listen to pastor and go home. That's it. My ministry is this, and I don't consider it ministry. My ministry is you being me and allowing you to see God unfold in my life. I don't always represent Jesus, but who does? The professionals? 50% of all the ministers in evangelical churches in America need to quit and go get a job because they're not doing a thing. And they weren't called by God, they were called by themselves. And these people that go into the ministry to make money are not called by the Holy Spirit. So help me, God. Living in mansions, $40 million net worth. Come on. But Mike, I benefit from them. Do you really? Has it changed you? Has it increased your bottom line? No, it hasn't. You read another book where they espouse their wisdom and they charge you to buy it. The Bible's free, folks. Truth is free. Well, thank you for that, Grind. Those holy pinky rings. What's a pinky ring? Neeks, I feel it is upon my heart, if you were near, to give you a neck and shoulder massage, the likes of which you've never felt before. And I have to move that beautiful raven hair aside and just, ooh. Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't notice that pinky ring. That's funny. That's funny. Did I eat all my chips? Man, I'm a pig. Snacking for Jesus, snacking for Jesus, to the beat, snacking for Jesus, snacking for Jesus. What can I eat? What can I eat? Mmm. You know what the best, fish dinner ever was? Was it after Christ resurrected? I don't know what was going on, but they were on the boat and Peter was naked or whatever. When he realized it was the Lord, he jumped in, dove into the water. But Jesus prepared fish. That's better than a fillet of fish sandwich at McDonald's. Even Jesus took time to prepare the fish. Jesus used analogies of working people. He didn't tip his hat towards the professionals. Ever! I am the great shepherd. I will make you fishers of men. Jesus cares about the working man and woman's struggle, people. He has something to say for those corporate cutthroats. Read about it in James. Woe to you, rich men, weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon you. You've hoarded wealth. You've heaped it up to the last days. Withheld the wages. That doesn't just mean you didn't get a paycheck. That means skimped, pimped, making mass profits and paying your workers chump change. Sicko, wrongo, evil. You think you're going to get away with that? And Christians lead the pack in that. I'm sorry. I know a lot of Christians that run a business. Well, we want to be wise steward of what God has entrusted us. Yeah, helping yourself to the piggy bank while chumping your workers. That's God glorifying. But you're a deacon in the church and you're an elder in the church and you sing in the choir. Oh yeah, you guys are great. As a Christian, you should be generous and reflecting of the manifold grace of God. You should be rewarding those that labor. But our society gives preferential treatment to the rich, to the celebs, to the wealthy, to the Democrats, to the media, to the school system, while kicking the working class in the groin. Tell me I'm wrong. That's a painting by Norman Rockwell. Most of you in real life would never be friends with a guy like that. How many times you go to a restaurant where there's a guy that looks like that, cooking your food and doing it with perfection? If he's a Christian, is he not doing his calling? Is he not doing what God put in his heart to do? Making sure your food is good, tastes good, looks good? What is calling? Is it working in the doors of the church? And churches do that crap all the time, causing further distance between us and them. I am not a layperson. I'm part of the priesthood of believers, and so are you, Christian. because we don't go to a holy temple anymore. We're supposed to be a holy temple. We're the temple of the Holy Ghost. And sometimes, viewers, for those that say I always talk about everybody, there's a lot of unholiness in my own soul. And people who act and pretend like they never do anything wrong, get away from them. Clowns, total clowns. House extension and renovation and holidays, yep. And bragging about it to their employees. Yes, my wife and I are doing a remodel and we're adding a second floor. Well, there went our raises. Ding! I worked at Durham School Services. There was a guy with the last name with the word rude in his name. It was fitting. He was a jerk. Spokane, Washington. $10 an hour to drive a school bus. And he'd get in the engine. I have my 4-hour guarantee. Dude, if you get a job there, you get 4 hours a day in routes. Who the fuck can live on 4 hours a day? I come here to Richmond County and you want to go home and they don't let you. You're working 60, 70 hours a week covering routes. That OT was fun, but eventually you get burnt. $10.50 or $10 an hour, and my 4-hour guarantee, and he'd walk in to the break room. Yeah, my wife and I bought these exotic trees. They're like $5,000 a piece. I wanted to just turn around and say, you're so fucking tacky, dude. You pay these people chump change to drive a bus. You got all your rules and regulations, 4 hours a day, and you bragging about all the money you're spending on these damn trees. Stupid. I worked for a couple for 3 months. He was a deacon at the church and a Sunday school teacher. He told me that I lacked social grace. I worked in the office. I worked at the front office. He and his wife had separate offices with the door open. And I got to hear the conversations. Barb would say, Wayne, your food smells like armpit. This is a true story. I'm like, they can't see me. And I'm like, I'm a little bit like Lucio Ball behind the scenes. I'm just like, thanks, Barb. Now I don't have an appetite for my lunch. Thank you for telling me that. Wayne would crack jokes in Sunday school. We had a Korean gal there. And he started Sunday school with this appropriate professional joke. Do you know how Asian kids are named? The mother and dad drop the silverware on the floor, ting-a-ling-a-ding-ding, boom. Not only was I not into, I didn't even know where the Philippines was on a map back then. Hadn't even been to Hong Kong then. Never knew that was even in the radar. But I'm sitting there going, my boss just told this joke in church with a Korean woman. That was freaking dumb. Yikes. I did my best. Every one of his customers said, I like that guy answering the phones. He's got a good phone voice. He's very good. Wayne said I was not professional. I said, Wayne, I'm not a professional. I'm a good worker. Oh, you're a good worker. I said, I've never said anything inappropriate to your. No, you haven't. I said, so you don't like certain things about me, but it has nothing to do with my work. And I came in one day, it was spring. It was sleeting, it was raining. And it was cold and blustery. And I said, I'm sorry. I came in to just let you know I can't. Thank you for the opportunity to let me do this. He told me that bus driving was beneath me, that was basically a less than job, and hired me to work in the office. And I appreciate that. But sitting there putting together purchase orders and quotes and listening to him and his wife bicker back and forth on a daily basis. And his wife had a problem with my voice. He was not in the office one day, and she come out. She goes, "How are you, Mike?" I said, "I'm good." And she liked me, but she always had a trip about how do you have so much authority in your voice? I said, "What do you mean, Barb?" "You have so much authority. How do you get that?" I said, "I don't know, Barb." That clearly rattled her. She brought that up many times. I didn't hate on them. I invited them over to the house a couple years later. But Wayne and Barb would brag at work. "Yes, we took the fifth wheel out. In fact, I think they went to Durban. They were going to be missionaries. They didn't last 6 months. They came back with their tail whipped behind their legs, said it was cold. They had no heaters in the places." And he lived in Highlands Ranch in Denver, and that was the Highlands Ranch, thrown together homes, too much money, all looked the same with bleached wood fences around it. He would always talk about Highlands Ranch, his Escalade. Oh, they love to brag about their materialism. And one day I said, "Wayne, you said I lack social grace," but I said, "Can I be honest? You're always bragging about how much you spent at the restaurant, all these trips and junkets, your truck, your car." "Oh, well, excuse me, Mike. I will not talk about my life in front of you anymore." I said, "That's not what I'm saying, Wayne, but you say I lack social grace. I don't earn near as much as you do. And some of us, it's kind of like rubbing it in our face." So, do I have social grace or not? Depends on who I'm with. But I walked in and I said, "I can't do this." I think, "Well, I agree with you. I thank you for being honest. Would you like a ride home?" I said, "No, I'm good. There's pretty bad weather out there." I said, "Wayne, I was made for that world. I'm going back to Denver schools." They gladly took me back. "You have a nice day." I walked out, the rain and sleet and the wind were blasting, and I went, "Yes!" I embraced the weather, went to go see my former supervisor. He said, "I could never see you in an office, Michael. Welcome back." I liked working for Denver schools back in the 90s. I liked driving the bus. I liked Dan, my boss, my supervisor. He was Mexican. Dan was a kind man. I'm not a professional. That's been told to me many times. But I've always done my job 110%. So what is a professional? I don't want to be known as a professional. I want to be known as Michael being Michael. I want to be known as a man who transformed the world, but that's not going to happen. I'd like to be the change I want to see in the world. I know that's not going to happen. But a professional, I can't do it. I just can't. It's not in me. The word professional is not in the Bible, by the way. Think about that. I bring up an interesting point. The Bible tells slaves and masters, remember, they have a heavenly Father. Be careful how you treat them. And you can turn that, employees, employers, whatever. You go to your job and you don't do it with eye service when the boss is watching. Christians that are brown-nosing the boss are not following the Holy Spirit. And you see that go on a lot, don't you? Christians and non-Christians. They want to ladder up. They want to climb up. They want to kiss butt. And if you notice, every time they put somebody over you, they're not qualified 99% of the time. Because they were, as Mr. E-Rock, great phrase used that I'm pirating, fluffing somebody's balls. And that's what goes on. What is Christianity? It's about dealing with the heart. It's not about professional. God tells us something that would get us in trouble in a corporate boardroom. All have sinned and fall short of Michael. You can't say that to people. That's offensive. Damn straight, Skippy, but it's the truth. But the good news is you can be saved. Now, we can't talk about religion, Michael. That's not professional. Bump, 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 bump. Won't you take me to Phuket Town? I'm sorry about my crassness. I don't always embody, I'm not supposed to use profane language, but I'm human. I'm tired of preachers being professional. I'm tired of Christians and people being professional. That's the highest God in American culture today. Let our professionals come and install your furnace as they rip open your wallet. Give me a break. I've seen professionals come. They charged Ann $1,000 to unclog the toilet. I said, sir, why is this so high? Well, we had to remove the bowl. 2 bolts and a water line. If I'd have known that, I would have removed the bowl and had you just drill out the pipe or drain it, snake it. Professional is a word for gouging, stealing. Enron was run by professionals. Anybody know what happened to that? Everybody lost their retirement. I hope you're doing well. Not really. I lost my retirement. Well, we're really sorry about that. Due to an unusually high call volume, we're not going to be able to get your call because we've been bankrupt. Goodbye. Professionals are full of shit. It's all about acting. It's all about acting. It's all about a game. I heard Ed Bulkley of Westminster Church in Westminster, Colorado, say it's all a game. It's all about the game. You got to get a degree. You got to play the game. Christians do not play the game. We're not in a game. This is called life. And we need to walk, not play. See that you walk circumspectly, not as fools. Be sober-minded. That goes for all of you getting drunk and doing stoner stuff. Sober-minded. Don't be under the influence of controlled substance. Yeah, I'm bizarre. Yes, I'm different. Because our society has never been taught to be raw or organic. And I'm not talking the 60s where women threw their razors away and burned their bras. That was just sheer rebellion. I have been injured and scarred more by professionals than anybody else. Blue-collar workers have done me no wrong. DJ, there's a guy in the UK that talks about business and how he said, stop working so hard at your job. Michael's got to go. It's past time. I went on. I got to eat and get out of here. I got to go back to the salt mines, folks, so I can pay my bills. Thank you for listening. It's been fun. And we will play this again later on. I haven't been doing the evenings other than shorts because I'm tired and I try to call some of my friends and have meaningful conversation with them. But thank you for coming, you guys. And I don't think I'm perfect and right about everything. I offer a viewpoint that's from the heart, though, and I don't believe I'm wrong in that. I think society's trapped in a box of wrong thinking because everybody just follows along blindly. Michael's out of the box.